Good morning, YouTube, Facebook. This is J Trucker 717, and guess what we're doing? We're partying, but not in 717. All right. I am still a student at ECPI University. I'm taking physics right now, information technology, but my course is physics right now. And there was a very interesting. I had to do a project, and there was a very interesting subject that was kind of dear to my heart, because you know trucking runs red in my blood. Hydrogen trucking is what I chose. Now, you know, it's almost 2017. We got a couple more days for 2017. And what happens in 2017, truckers? They're like, no, what are you talking about? ELD mandate. If you have not gotten on board with that, you're a little too late. It is going to happen January 1st, 2017, ELD mandates. Now, what I have heard interesting is that, hold on a second, let me turn this music down.
That's so exciting. My son and my husband will be so excited.
It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. Thank you so much.
All right, well, enjoy.
All right. What has happened is that with the change in administration, the Republican Party, the Republicans are thinking about putting a bill in to actually get rid of the ELD mandate and the speed limiter, which we in the trucking industry are like, yes. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, in trucking, we do so much on our own. And, you know, it's like every time we turn around, they come up with regulations to kind of babysit us. And it's like, we don't need speed limiters. We know what normal speeds we can go. We don't need no ELD mandate, you know, telling us when to take a break. And, I mean, there's so many things that it's just over-regulation in the trucking industry. And it makes you hard to make money. So we kind of understand that. So I'm hoping that does. I'm all for it. But again, you know, I've done videos on automated trucking, on electric trucking, but I wasn't too impressed with those. But this hydrogen trucking, I am very, very much impressed with that. And you guys need to really get on board with this, because this may be the future of trucking, and it is what I call a game changer. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. And I had to do a report, so I wanted to share a little bit of information with you guys. So, again, let's get to it. All right, get to my little trusty computer here. All right, this is the Nikola One, and what I call a future of trucking. Give me just a second to turn the music down. All right, this is Nikola One, the future of trucking. What I call the future of trucking. Again, this is a report I did on this. And just looking at the truck, I mean, this is going to be, I mean, I love this design on this truck. If you look at it, I mean, look at this right here, this space. From talking, listening and studying it, apparently you can be 7 foot tall and stand up in the cabin and not touch the top. That's pretty impressive. Also, they're talking about this front end right here, where you can actually see down in the truck, and there's a lot less of not being able to see what's in front of you. Again, this is really a game changer, and apparently the door. I know you guys can't see my little arrow now, but this door right here, I think it's about right here. Basically, they put it more in the mid of the truck, so that when you're entering the truck, you're not entering under the steering wheel, which was always a problem in the trucking industry. And again, all this is the hydrogen in the back, all this setup, and this truck. I mean, this video is going to tell you almost everything you need to know about the truck. But another impressive thing is this truck is lighter than the standard diesel truck right now, 2,000 pounds lighter. That's very impressive. That's very impressive. And also, it's zero emissions. Zero emissions. And I can't state that enough. With everybody trying to go to basically saving the earth and not polluting it, zero emissions is very, very something that's very important. And the nice thing about this truck is it's an electric truck run by hydrogen, so there's no idling. You can stay in this truck for over 1 week and have full power and never have heat, air condition, everything, and basically never have to start it. That's ridiculous. Oh my God, I know a lot of truckers out there sitting there now. Damn, I wish I had it now. All right, let me go on to talk about this. This is kind of the inside of the truck. Again, they're going to put a 21-inch screen in there, and with that 21-inch screen, I don't know all about this, but basically what they're talking about doing is they want to make this truck so well designed so that you basically can get in your truck, drive down the freeway, and when you're looking for loads, they're going to upload loads into the 21-inch screen that you have, and it's going to give you the best load for where you are going. I mean, it does like 10,000 calculations. It looks for the best load, and then once it picks it, it's going to give it to you, and you can keep rolling. And you can even do a video chat with your shipper and your dispatcher. Well, you don't need a dispatcher because most of your loads are going to be coming off the load boards. So that's really positive. I don't know how great that's going to work, but that's it. And again, I started it out is $7,000 a month versus $150,000 for a standard new truck nowadays. Is it worth it? Because what they're going to do, they're going to be selling this truck, and it's going to be a little bit more expensive than the $150,000 truck. But what they're also going to do is be leasing it. There's a partnership with Ryder, who rents a lot of vehicles and things of that nature. Not most of their vehicles, but just equipment. And with Ryder, you're going to be able to lease this truck for $7,000 per month. Now, I know everybody's like, that's pretty hefty. But let me finish with the video, and maybe you can see why I'm so excited about it. All right. I started out talking about the issues in trucking, and I know for some of you truckers, it's like, this is boring. All right, whatever. But anyway, the middleman, a lot of these guys don't know about this stuff. You got the brokers, you got trucking companies, you got insurance companies, you got financial agencies. I call them all middlemen in the trucking industry who basically chumps on the load when you get it, and by the time you get it, it's not, instead of Walmart asking you to deliver some strawberries for $8,000, you get it for $2,000 or $3,000, and we think we're doing great. But in reality, if we would get rid of a lot of those middlemen, we would get the true value of what our product is. Again, some of the advantages is going to be cost. Issues with truck. One of the things is fuel is our number one cost. Again, we already know all this. $1,000 to $1,500 a week usually most truckers spend in fuel. Then you got your truck expense, and I took a lot of this stuff from when I was lease purchase for KLM. These are kind of the figures that I kind of ran into. About $1,000 to $1,500 a week in fuel, and truck payment was around $525. Again, depending on what area you were in, or what trucking company you lease from, or whether you're owner or operator, those expenses are going to vary, of course. Idling the truck again, those are some of the issues that may come up. And again, you're going to spend about $200 or $300 a week in insurance to keep your truck running. So those are some of the things I talked about, because these, again, most of the people I'm going to be talking to are not into trucking, so they're going to want to know some of these issues and why we think it's important. All right. The advantage and disadvantage of this is basically 0% emissions. I mean, that is going to be so great to the trucking industry, because a lot of cities are really getting a little turked about trucking and us polluting their environment and all this other stuff. So one of the ways we can fight back is by saying, hey, we're not polluting anything. And that's going to make us more positive to the community, which I think is a good thing. This hydrogen truck can go 1,200 miles on a full tank of hydrogen. I don't know about you guys, but that is a game changer right there to me. Most electric vehicles I know was 200, 300, 400 miles on a full charge. This truck will run 1,200 miles without filling up again on hydrogen. Again, that's a game changer. That's a game changer to me. In other words, I can pick up a load and drop it off, fill up for hydrogen, come back, and won't have to fill up till I come back. That to me is a game changer. I don't have to fill up again. Okay. And you're looking at, they gave the miles per gallon, because they did all their figures and calculations. You'll see in the video. They came out on hydrogen to be 15 miles per gallon versus 7.5. And 7.5 miles per gallon is one of what we consider the best of the best in trucking right now, because we know trucks are getting around 5 or 6. But 7.5, some of the trucks are getting into the 7.5. But even when you compare it to the best of the best in the diesel trucking right now, hydrogen is twice as more economical. And that's another game changer. 1,000 horsepower instantaneous, guys. Well, I mean, diesel trucks are running, 500 horsepower? Some of them maybe a little bit more. But usually they can get up to 1,000 horsepower depending on the revolutions of the engine. So once you get it going, you can get quite a bit of horsepower and torque pounds. But this is instantaneous. In other words, you can go 65 miles uphill on a hill, pulling the load and not feel any bog down. That's impressive. Regenerative braking. When you're coming down the hill, that electric motor is going to be putting electricity back into the batteries, because these are all controlled. This truck is controlled by electric batteries that are charged by hydrogen cells. Okay, so that regenerative braking, you're going to have less heat, because the motor is actually going to be sending electricity back to the batteries to charge it back up, and more stopping power. Some of the figures they threw out, it takes about 65 feet to stop a semi-truck. It may vary depending on how you load and stuff. But with this, because of the regenerative braking already slowing that truck down, you're talking about 5 to 20 feet stopping distance. That's impressive. And again, a lot of this stuff is kind of, the trucks are not going to be here till 2017, 2020. So a lot of this is new technology. So we understand there's quirks that they're going to have to go through. But the stuff that they're talking about now are so impressive that it's impressing me. No fuel costs with the purchase or lease of a truck for the first 1 million miles. Now, that I want you to think about. And think about the $7,000 per month. And then think about the fuel. That's going to be the difference. Now, when I first looked at that statement, I was like, I don't think this is going to be worth it. But then when they threw that in there, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, and these are some of the things I'm talking about. Is the regenerative braking going to work really well? I mean, it's not really that tested right now. How much is the fuel going to cost after the 1,000,000 miles? Free fuel. Uh, why are you paying for hydrogen when you can basically extract it from water? I mean, and that's what they're doing, basically extracting hydrogen. So again, we were talking about the disadvantages. The first 5,000 trucks will be built by subcontractors. Uh, that was not impressive to me at all. In other words, this company is actually building these first 5,000 trucks, and they're contracting people to build it for them. Eventually, they're going to build a plant and build their own, but that's not. I mean, I would much rather you build your own truck and sell it so you can see all, you can work on more on that. I just don't like the subcontracting. That just doesn't seem as a good option. Lithium-ion batteries catch on fire. They're a fire hazard, and that's what the truck is going to have. So those are some of the things, disadvantages, I would say, in this whole issue with the hydrogen truck. I did some figures, guys. I did some figures, and looking at the figures that I did, basically, at taking the figures that I had when I was lease purchase at KLLM, I was spending $1,500 a week on gas. Okay, my truck payment was $500, $525. Depending on where you lease your truck, it could be way up to $700 a week. I've heard it as high as that. Okay. And so the total of that is $2,000 to $2,200, varying depending on, your figures. I just took the maximum and to the worst scenario. $2,200 times 52 is $114,000 you're going to be spending on truck payment and fuel alone. Not taking anything else, just truck payment and fuel alone. Again, apples with apples, oranges with oranges. You've always heard me say that. Okay, so we're talking about fuel and the purchase of the truck. Now, if you lease that truck from Ryder, $7,000 a month. Again, your first 1,000,000 miles, there's no fuel costs. No fuel costs the first 1,000,000 miles. That's $84,000 a year. Look at the savings you're going to have. Nothing else. Just those figures alone. $30,000 a year. That's $2,500 a month you're going to be saving just alone. Just leasing it. And that's not even talking about buying the truck and putting your own hydrogen in it. Those figures alone are very impressive. So, again, now, I'm going to show this video, and this video is it's a lengthy video, but it's well worth it. I think you guys are going to appreciate it, and make sure you stay throughout the video because you're going to be really impressed with this truck.
Everything kind of starts when you're young, and you have a lot of paths in life you can take, but this was my path to transform how trucking works. Everything about it from the ground up. America was built on the backs of diesels. It's really incredible. I love the history of diesels. It was developed primarily because it was more efficient and stronger than the alternatives at the time. And now we face the same problems. How do we build something that's stronger, more efficient, and cleaner? And that's our obligation. It's our future. How do we take the past and improve on it? And that's what the Nikola One does.
Yeah, I've met a lot of dreamers. Sometimes they have great ideas, but they can't ever get it off the ground. So when I first met Trevor, it was pretty exciting to see that he actually had more than just on paper. He had a whole engineering group that had spent a lot of time putting this product together.
We've built something that no one else thought was possible. And we've done it with a team of passionate, driven, young entrepreneurs, all put into one incredible team here at Nikola.
Well, anytime there's new technologies in the market that we think will be a game changer, we tend to try to participate with those manufacturers that's coming to the market with them. And we tend to try to help them understand what's needed in our industry, because a lot of people will build a product and miss the mark. In contacting Trevor when he first made his announcement, and then seeing his reaction to some of the suggestions that we were offering, he's been very receptive. I have no ownership in the company, but I can tell you I'm pretty excited about how the company's moving forward, how the product's coming to the market.
If something can be done, it should be done. We've been able to prove it works. Now it's time for us as a company to take the products out on the road, show that they can outperform a diesel in every application, in every situation, and change the philosophy of an entire society.
I think there's going to be so many changes that once a driver gets in that truck, it's going to be a different world for him. Going to batteries as opposed to diesel, being emissions free, having a vehicle that doesn't require all the maintenance that today's vehicles do, having a vehicle that's more comfortable for the driver. It's also going to create a different world for us, the owners, that have to keep these guys on the road for days at a time. And this could be that game changer that we're all looking for to enhance the availability of good quality, safe drivers.
This is to all the thinkers and the inventors and the entrepreneurs that didn't stop after their first failure. It was the same thing here. We failed, and then we succeeded.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Link.
Wow, well, a good crowd out here tonight. Thank you. I appreciate it. This is a really incredible time. One of my favorite quotes in the world. Just a couple of days ago, one of our users sent it off to us, and it just really shocked me. It was everything I've been trying to capture and explain to people for years and years, and that is the electric light did not come from continuous improvements of candles. That's a really hard concept to try to explain to a big Fortune 500 company or a Fortune 100 or even a Fortune 1000. It's very, very difficult. It takes a complete redesign from the ground up, and most of the time big companies can't take those risks, primarily because if there was a failure, it would affect a company of that size much more than a smaller company like ours. And that's one of the great advantages that we have as an entrepreneur, and one of the tasks in life that we have as entrepreneurs is to be able to take risks that no one else thought was possible, that no one ever thought they could ever do. The consequences would be too great, but we took it and we achieved. It's a really incredible story of our time. I'm going to go through a couple of things. Some of you guys saw me pull up in the Nikola Zero. We're going to be talking about a lot of really incredible products tonight. Some people know a lot about Nikola. Some people are just learning. I want to obviously thank everyone that's live streaming all over the world. We have people all the way from here tonight, all the way from Norway, Germany, Australia, all over America, South America. It's incredible groups come in from all over the world for this event. So I appreciate everyone. We got a lot of really cool products to talk about tonight, and this is the beginning of it. And this is a really, really, really fun time. Some of you may know we have a few main products. We have the electric truck, and then we have an electric off-road vehicle. The reason why I show this is because it shows how innovative we are. If you look at this Nikola Zero, this is an off-road UTV, much like a Polaris Razor, or some of you guys have ever ridden one of those. We have two different battery packs for this. One's a 72 kilowatt hour pack, and one's a 107 kilowatt hour packs. Let me give you an idea. Our battery pack has more energy density more power than a Tesla 100D, $150,000 car. That's on a Nikola Zero, all sitting in the bottom of that frame. This just gives you a preview of how some innovation and technology allows us to pave the way for new improvements. I couldn't be here without a lot of the people that paved the way for us. I'm incredibly grateful. I get asked all the time, is Tesla your competitor? Absolutely not. We're not affiliated with Tesla, but they have paved the way for many of us to be able to achieve, and I'm very grateful for that. My team is incredibly extraordinary. We've been able to pack so much energy into that. That's 300 miles on an off-road vehicle, completely silent. And that's one of the things I love. That'll be coming out right around about the end of next year into dealerships and showrooms. Some of you guys have read the press release this morning. Some of you may not have heard yet, but I'm beyond grateful and excited. We signed an agreement that was for the entire United States, Canada, and parts of Mexico with Ryder Systems, Inc. Ryder has over 800 locations that will be servicing, selling, and warrantying our vehicles throughout the entire continental United States, the lower 48, all the way up into Canada and into Mexico. and I'm extremely proud to be able to have that. That shows you a little bit about how incredible our product is. We've totaled now almost a little over $4 billion in pre-orders, which I think is a pretty incredible task to be able to achieve. There's different lease programs that will be coming out that the value can change based upon the length of the lease and different pricing. Some of that information I know a lot of people are going to want right now. That'll be coming out in the near future with us and Ryder in conjunction to make sure we're on message and that we have the right information being given out. This is really incredible. I'm really proud of it. So, okay, you have this big service network now. You got one of the greatest brands in America. Now, how do you fill all your trucks? Where are you going to fill all your trucks? It's another one of the really incredible things I get to talk about tonight is all of our stations. Here at Nikola, we're announcing that we're going to be building stations across the country. A lot of people don't know how these stations work, so I want to tell you about them. There's a lot of ways to create hydrogen. Hydrogen's the most, it's really the only fuel out there that doesn't create any emissions or byproducts. It's incredible. The only byproduct is water. So as this truck goes down the road, the only thing coming out of this truck will be drips of water. And I think everyone around the world is going to be cheering for that. There's, as you can see up on here, there's a lot of ways you can create it through solar. You can on-site convert it to hydrogen through electrolysis, or you can use other methods like steam reform. With that technology, even with steam reform, you can utilize all the other emissions that come off of it for like road tar and other products. So it's about as emission-free as you can get of a fuel. We liquefy that hydrogen, we transport it all across the country, and we store it into gigantic containers and dispense it to trucks. This is a really cool process because this allows us to transport over 10,000 kilograms, sometimes even more, depends on the size of the trailer at one time. So you can imagine, one truck offloads that station, it's going to last a long time, even with a lot of truck traffic through that station. So this is how we actually do it. This is the process of the hydrogen stations. A lot of people have asked, how are you going to get hydrogen all over the country? Well, this is it. Imagine pulling up to a station, instead of seeing $2.50, $3.50, $5 for a gallon of diesel, you see zero as a Nikola customer. And that's what you get. You have when you buy or purchase or lease a Nikola truck, a Nikola One, you get an entire 1,000,000 miles of fuel included into that. That's incredible because we're really the only company that has been vertically integrated from the beginning to the end. We own our own hydrogen facility that we're building. We own our own plant, our own conversion, our own distribution, and now our own manufacturing of the truck. A lot of people have asked, why'd you do that? Well, once again, it wasn't about improving on the candle. It was about totally redesigning what that meant and to become a flashlight. And that's what we did. We built this vertical integration plan, and it allows us to control the cost of fuel. There's no variables in that with exception to taxes. But outside of that, it doesn't matter what happens in the world. We control our own fuel. We control our own prices. Now we can deliver fuel to those customers without having to worry about how do you hedge your diesel bets for 7 years out or 5 years out or 3 years out. This is the really fun part. 364 stations are going up with Nikola. This will give the driver the ability to go in any direction and pass more than 7 stations, sometimes up to 25 stations, without having to refill with hydrogen. You'll get over 1,200 miles on a charge or a fill up with hydrogen. Essentially, you never have to plug in with this truck, but the hydrogen charges the batteries as you go. So imagine having you have a Tesla car or whatever, and you plug in at night. Well, imagine having that power plant with you everywhere you go, and you never have to plug in again. That's what this truck is. It eliminates it. And on heavy-duty trucks, it makes a lot of sense to do that because you have a lot more space than a small car. So these are the maps. These will be up available on our website after this event is over. You'll be able to see the list of the cities. This will give people the ability to fill. We're going to start building these stations in 2019. They're going to be rolled out slowly as we, with fleets that are ordering our trucks and along with other customers. So you won't have all of them at once, but these are all ones in the plan. Now we'll have business development managers that will be handling the development of every one of these stations, and I'm really proud of that. So people say, okay, now you got this. You got one of the greatest brands in America. You got Ryder Systems servicing all your trucks in 800 locations. When a lot of people say, "Oh, Nikola can't do that." We did it. Now they say, "How are you going to fuel your truck?" That's our rollout plan with the stations. Well, now comes the question: how are you going to build these trucks? That's the hardest part. That's the one that takes a little bit more time. We have a great partner and investor in our company from Fitzgerald. They come from the Fitzgerald glider kit family. They build about 6,000 to 9,000 trucks a year right now. They'll be handling the first 5,000 trucks for us and continuing to build those trucks for us in the future. This will allow us to avoid a lot of the capital expenditure that's necessary. It's not as advanced as a massive manufacturing facility, but it's, once again, we're doing things a different way. My goal is to try to build those trucks, build them right, build them safe, test the living heck out of them, make sure they're very, very safe for the drivers. And over that period of time, over the next 4 to 5 years, we'll be building our own manufacturing plant. Over $1 billion will be invested in this facility. The body in white, which is essentially the entire frame system, the panels, everything else that goes along with it without the trim, will be completely done robotically. This will allow us to avoid a lot of the mistakes that can happen for safety, and also for production efficiency as well. Then we'll bring the people in, then they'll trim it. They'll make it beautiful. They'll put everything else in it, and it'll come off the assembly line. And this is just it's a really fun project for us. So we're going to be announcing where this manufacturing plant will be sometime around the middle of next year. So it's going to be pretty incredible. We've got multiple states we've been talking to about where are we going to locate this this manufacturing plant. That announcement will come sometime around in the middle of 2017 next year. I have another really fun job here tonight. I get to tell you guys about the Nikola 2. So we have the sleeper. A lot of sleepers around the country, you see them driving on the roads. There's a lot of fleets that say, what about your day cab? And that's where the Nikola 2 comes in. The Nikola 2 is a day cab that has the same performances as the sleeper. The only difference is it does not have a sleeper, so it's going to be a little less expensive, more maneuverable, and it's absolutely incredible. It's got rear steering built in. This means you can take that truck and do this with it. It's the only semi-truck like it in the world that's mass-produced. I'm sure some garage guys have done some cool stuff. So it's my joy to be able to tell you a little bit about the Nikola 2. Here's the actual rendering of what it's going to look like. And after you see this truck come to life here tonight, you guys will understand that what we show you, we can actually deliver on. And that's the neatest part about Nikola. There's a couple pictures I want to be able to show you about the Nikola 2, so you're welcome to take all the pictures you guys want. It's got a panoramic view all the way around. It's really beautiful. It's got better vision. It's got collision avoidance systems. A lot of really cool stuff. Same performance of the truck, so 1,200 miles between fill-ups, and we'll have the stations throughout the country to fill them. Give you a couple shots. Sorry, there, it's good. This next segment we get into is really cool. It's called Nikola Shipments. This truck is by far the most state-of-the-art truck ever built in history. I'm proud to say that. You guys will be able to later on come in and see this these displays on here. This thing is mind-boggling. There's 4 massive displays, and this thing is really, really incredible. Nikola Shipments is the ability for every freight broker in the country to upload their freight to our system, have our drivers pick them up. Much like an Uber for a taxi, you'll be able to see the reviews of the drivers. This is really cool because we're vertically integrated, 100% from the beginning to the manufacturing to the stations. This will allow someone to be able to pick a route. Let's say they're in Los Angeles and they want to go to New York. Our truck will run millions of calculations and tell them with every single freight system, give them 5 or 6 different options. It can run different routes, different freeways based upon weather conditions. This will tell them the most lucrative route from LA to New York. We're the only truck in the world that can do that. And this is awesome because it's built right into the truck. They pay nothing for this. My goal was literally to revolutionize the trucking industry. And by doing this, we have all the answers in the Nikola One. It's built right in. Not only is that awesome, but in production, you're going to see us come out with the largest screen in any truck is 21 inches. And the reason why the screen is so important is because it gives the driver the ability to navigate all these different loads. He can see every load within his city that's available. He can choose to just keep on picking up loads. He doesn't have to worry about a dispatcher. Doesn't have to worry about anything. He can live video chat with the shipper. He can continue on and choose multiple routes. He can say, okay, I want to go from Salt Lake to Colorado and back. Our system will give them the most lucrative route from Salt Lake to Colorado within the time frame he wants to get. It literally takes away so much of the back-end work that is so difficult for owner-operators. This will potentially be able to change the owner-operator's income by up to over 50%, which is really awesome. I want to go through some of this. Gives you a couple snapshots. This is actually in our truck right now. You'll be able to see it when you get in the truck later tonight. You'll see it up on the screens. They're fully functioning screens. Really incredible. We will have a chain on the seats to prevent people from coming in just for the safety. I don't want someone to end up doing something and driving this truck off the stage. So it's a little expensive, okay? You could probably buy a jet with what it costs to build this thing. So we're going to try to keep people from driving off. But this thing fully functions and works, which is really incredible. This will take a few years to roll out. This is not like an overnight thing. This will take testing. It'll take work. It'll take great partners that we have. But soon we'll be passing billions of dollars of freight through our systems and allowing people to be able to actually earn a better income. A couple more shots. This just kind of shows you the idea of all the different shipments and options from, say, Los Angeles all the way up to Salt Lake City. Give you different types of loads. You can narrow down from flatbeds to reefers to whatever else you want. This is really to give power back to the drivers and give them the ability to really see how they can make more money in their pocket, even if they don't have the skills. Okay, so you move into the Nikola One. This is kind of the main specs of the truck that a lot of people have asked about. People say, how do you get 1,000 horsepower, 2,000 foot-pounds of torque, and 1,200-mile range? Most of the time, out of those three variables, you get one, but not all three. That's what's really cool about Nikola, is you have an electric motor on every wheel. So you have the ability to split up the distribution of the power, the tire wear, the traction, everything else. You get 2,000 foot-pounds of torque before the gear reduction. It's almost 100,000 foot-pounds of torque after gear reduction. Can you imagine pulling a 6% grade for those truck drivers, pulling a 6% grade under a full load of 80,000 pounds and doing it at 65 miles an hour? You can do that with the Nikola One. So some of the information we've come out with, we've talked about how fuel efficient the Nikola One is. This is the slide that will probably bore some people. But some of the other people, like the critics, they want to know how we get to these numbers. This is important. So it's 33 1/3 kilowatts per kilogram of hydrogen. The fuel cell we have in the truck is 70% efficient. So imagine a diesel engine, you're much lower. A turbine, you're much lower. You're up to 70% efficient with a fuel cell. Our fuel cell is a PEM. So Paul Echo, Mango, whatever. I don't know the terminology. I'll let you guys figure that out. PEM fuel cell. On board, there's 23.3 usable kilowatt hours per kilogram of hydrogen. There's 100 kilograms of hydrogen on board. That can be ordered in different sizes based upon people's routes. That means there's 2,330 kilowatt hours on board of this truck, and you can convert that to British thermal units. The easiest way to have a standard, and I'll explain why. So if there's 2,330 kilowatt hours on board, you assume you get about 0.58 miles per kilowatt hour is what we're seeing in our testing. That means you're going to have a 1,351 mile range on that truck before you have to stop and refill, and that's usable. So this is pretty cool. 100 kilograms of hydrogen on board at 13.5 miles per kilogram. Well, a kilogram of hydrogen has less energy in it than a diesel gallon of diesel. So now we have to take and say, okay, what does a diesel gallon have? So if there's 37.95 kilowatt hours per gallon of diesel, you divide that by 33 1/3. That means it takes 1.14 kilograms of hydrogen to equal a diesel gallon of diesel. So if you take 13.5 miles per kilogram of hydrogen, you come out times that by 1.14. Now you're 15.4 miles per DGE of hydrogen. That means our truck is pretty much, if you look at the best diesels out there, 7.5 running in fleets nowadays. Some of them are down in the 5 range, 6 range. Some of them are a little higher. When you get out here in the Rockies, you'll be much lower. 7.5, the best ones out there. We actually have a full production product at 15.4 miles per gallon, which is pretty incredible. That means we're using less energy to go. We have essentially doubled the freight efficiency of our freight, and the first people in the world to ever do that on a diesel in the last long time. So the power, there's some things about this, the power, it's unbelievable acceleration. With an electric motor, it's instant. You don't have to wait for it. So you're talking about within 30 milliseconds, that truck will start to propel forward. You couldn't dream of having that with a diesel or any other truck. It's 2 to 3 times more miles per gallon, and that means less weight. I'm going to get into that. This is a really cool thing. I've had a lot of people ask, how do you get so much, how are you lighter? Every electric vehicle we've seen is heavier. So if you think about a diesel overall, you have a diesel engine. Thing weighs about 4,500 pounds. It can, for a big 15 liter. It can be up or down, depends on the brand. You got your emission equipment, tack another X amount of pounds, 1,000 pounds. Tack your transmission on there, another 1,000 or so pounds. Now you have 3 differentials. Tack those on there. Tack the drivetrain on there. Also on the yokes, everything else. You're at 14,500 pounds just in that stuff. We've thrown every one of those out the window. They're gone. Everything that I just told you about is not on our truck. There's no diesel engine. There's no emission equipment. The drivetrain is integrated. It's like a locomotive, so you have your gear reduction straight to your half shaft. You've eliminated all the mechanical links, all the efficiency losses. And that's what we've done with the Nikola One. That's why we've been able to save the weight. This truck, spec for spec, let's say you spec a diesel and it's 19,000 pounds, our truck will come in right around about 17,000 pounds. If you spec a sleeper at 21,000 pounds because you want every whistle, every feature and everything else on there that you want, you'll get that thing down to about 19. That means we're going to be saving about 2,000 pounds over a diesel equivalent. This is a huge deal for drivers because the people that know trucking understand that every pound, if you're at full load, is worth about 50 cents. So what does that mean? That means 50 cents at 2,000 pounds you can put on your truck every load. That's $1,000 on every load every day. Now an independent owner-operator, say he does 25 loads a month, he's making an extra $25,000 a month. Now you start to see the incredible advantage of hydrogen and what we've done with electric over anybody else. The surround vision, these are some of the safety features. Surround vision, this thing will have 12 cameras on it, gives you the full ability to see all the way around the truck. This will give you collision avoidance. It'll actually try to prevent you from going into the lane with people. These features have been out on some cars. It's not like Nikola's not reinventing everything, just some cool things, but the trucking industry has never adopted them. Now all these are coming into this. And the fact that we can control our electric motors, which are on every wheel, within about 30 milliseconds, that gives us a unique ability of safety that no other diesel could ever dream of having. So what does that mean? If we can stop a truck faster, a lot of the accidents with trucks are because they can't stop fast enough. So to give you an idea, with a regular diesel, it takes 0.45 seconds to engage the brake calipers on an air disc brake. So what does that mean? We can do it in 30 milliseconds. Just kind of give you an idea, it's almost 15 times faster than much faster than a diesel air disc brake. That means you can, I think it takes about 65 feet for that brake caliper to engage on a diesel. I could be wrong, but I think that's about the number. So at 65 feet, that's when you're stopping. With Nikola, you're stopping within a few feet, like 3, 4, 5 feet. You're already beginning that. Now you add in regenerative braking to the air disc brakes. Now you got double the stopping power. Now let's say you're going down a hill and your airlines go out. How many drivers have died from airlines going out? You know what you have with the Nikola One? Full redundancy. We don't need airlines. We still have them for DOT compliance. Our regenerative braking can absorb up to 85% of the actual the braking lost normally through air disc brakes. So that means you're going down a hill, you're not riding your disc brakes. A normal set of disc brakes are going to last about somewhere around 500,000 miles, give or take. With Nikola, we've been able to anywhere from double to triple that. 85% of the braking is going to go into regen braking. And what does that mean? All that energy goes right back into your batteries to recharge them. Brakes get hot. Why? Because it's energy loss. That's what heat is energy loss. Our heat goes straight into our batteries through current, recharges it. We have a few percent loss, nothing like brakes. And that's a really incredible part. You also have panoramic views all the way around the truck. Those panoramic views give you views of everything that's going on. That's another safety feature that's awesome about this truck is when you're sitting in that driver's seat, you actually can look down and you can see the road. There's no longer this big gigantic hood that's 9 feet in front of you. Some of the accidents that happen in trucking are the fact that people have to get in they'll climb up over the wheel. They have a steering wheel and a seat they got to get into. And that becomes a very hard thing to get into the truck. A lot of the workman comp claims actually come from drivers that try to get in, they slip on the wheel, and there they are 7 feet to a back, landing straight on their back, breaking their collarbone or whatever, even just getting hurt. Well, that puts a driver out, so how much does that cost them? Who knows? A lot of money, too much money. So by having a mid-cab entry on this truck, we'll put stairs up here for you guys in the production, these handles come out. You can walk straight up into this just like you would your house. There's nothing in your way. You can stand up. A 7-foot guy can stand in there and not hit his head. That gives you ability to load all your stuff, anything you want, and you don't have to worry about a seat being in your way or your steering wheel being in the way. That's one of the really cool patents that we have. Lower center of gravity in this truck. Most diesels, the center of gravity is right around above the frame rail. That's why there's a lot of tip overs. A lot of people have talked about how trucks, you'll see trucks just tipped over on the side of the road. Why is that? It's either from bad traction, anti-stability control didn't work right, or they got into a position where they brake because a car cut them off, and they go into a jackknife, they tip over, or even wind tips over. We've seen our center of gravity with this truck lower by feet. I mean, not just 1 foot, but multiple feet. So you're talking anywhere from 2 to 3 feet lower center of gravity compared to a diesel. How'd we do that? We put all the batteries in the frame rail. They're all built right down in the frame rail near the ground. That's going to keep all that weight right there below the frame rail. On this truck, we have 320 kilowatt hours of lithium on board. That may not mean anything to some of you guys, but let me explain it. The highest end model Tesla is a 100 kilowatt hour pack. It's called a P100 or a 100. That has 100 kilowatt hours of lithium on board. The Nikola has 320 kilowatt hours. That's 3.2 times more energy on board than the biggest Tesla they have. Why do we do that? It's for a massive buffer. It's so drivers can literally sit in their cab for days or weeks and not worry about, having to turn on a generator. The fuel cell will keep it charged off automatically. And the batteries act as a buffer, so no more idling laws. There's a lot of idling laws out there where trucks can't idle. Well, this removes it. Another one was torque vectoring, which is really cool. Allows you to control the speed of every wheel. But mainly, what I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about the Nikola Ones, and this is what everyone came for. They came from all over the world. And this is my opportunity to unveil the Nikola One, which is a very unique opportunity for me. As Kevin Link stated, this thing started in our basement. This is not my first company. It's I can count on two hands how many companies I've started. Some were failures, some were successes. And this one is by far the best success we've ever had, and I'm very proud to present. For everybody that came from all over the world to come see this, this is the first time the Nikola One has ever been viewed in person by anyone except for our team. It's my pleasure to introduce the Nikola One to the world.
Behind every milestone and every innovation, in every industry, craft, and trade, there exists a mover. Someone who gets things where they need to be and gets them there fast. These movers make the world we know possible. Our progress depends on their commitment to a job done well and a job done right. They bridge our networks and span our gaps. Where others see obstacles that defy success, movers see nothing but open road. They know the ins and outs of this country, every inch of asphalt from New York City to Los Angeles. They've long hauled to the Rockies and the Cascades, through the Shenandoah Valley and the Blue Ridge Mountains. They've seen shorelines, plains, cities, and suburbs. They've seen the Great Lakes and crossed the Mississippi countless times. They put tools in our reach. The tools we need to transform today's ambitions into the accomplishments of tomorrow. Movers jumpstart innovation. They move our dreams and our inspiration. They move our joy and our laughter. They move our shelter and our safety. They move the bonds that forge our identity. They move the common good we cherish in spite of division. They move the moments we share with our families around the dinner table. They move the world. But what moves them? For too long, we've asked the movers who make our dreams possible to depend on outdated technology. Technology that compromises the planet we work so tirelessly toward perfecting. For too long, we've asked them to sacrifice their health and their safety so we can have better access to the things that give our lives meaning. For too long, we've ignored the simple fact that what we move comes at a cost. A cost to our environment, to the movers, to our future, and to ourselves. It's easy to accept what we have without questioning how we got it. It's easy to accept modest change that's outpaced by the rate of our failures. When we accept these failures, we choose to fail the same people who, for more than half a century, have refused to fail us. Movers revolutionized our world. It's time we revolutionize theirs. For those who bravely stand at the crossroads of innovation and enterprise. For those who are prepared to give our children a moral compass and not just a roadmap. For those who wish to leave the planet better than it was when we found it. For those who are driven. For those who dare to reinvent. For those who dare to reimagine.
Oh, that thing is so awesome. Oh, we've been waiting so long to show this to the world. You have no idea. It's just, it's hard to even contain my emotion about this. You imagine going up against the biggest companies in the world.